Janaz notices that, of course, the Ishai package. But we're back. We are back on the Tuesday evening. I have, of course, with me in studio. If you are catching the live, you can probably see her on my left, but you're right. This is, of course, Samreen Kumandan, the founder of Cape Town Halal. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum salam. Walaikum salam.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Yourself?
Could be better. Could be better. Could be, Maldives, in Dubai, living the best life, at the sea. But alhamdulillah, we're here.
Listen, I've been a lot of places, but Cape Town is one of the best.
Wow. I haven't been actually that far out. Things I remember though is like one of the places I never want to be in is PE.
I haven't been to PE either.
Yeah, you don't want to be there, man. I can still feel.
I actually want to go because it's there.
Wow. No, for me, I went there to see the elephants. We rode there, and I can still feel the bumps. Actually, that road was absolutely horrendous. MashaAllah, may Allah guide them to better roads. But anyway, continuing with the conversation, tell us a little bit about you. I'm sure people know in regards to your Facebook and your Instagram. Tell us a little bit more about yourself and your business.
I wouldn't say famous, but thank you. Yeah, quite a following. Let's see. How did I start the page? I lived in the States for a little while. And when I was in the States, they have so many apps and web pages that kind of show you, where the halal food is and where to go, because there's so little of it. And it was really helpful at the time because I was pretty new and I didn't know where to go. And the places are quite far apart. And the app would rate certain butchers and businesses. They would say, well, this one is good for this and that one is good for that. And it was really helpful. And then when I came back, a few of my friends actually came with me. And when they came, we were driving around Sea Point, I think, and we were actually so hungry the one day, and we didn't actually know where to go and eat. And then one of my friends from Joburg, she was showing me this page, Dozy Halaal, and she was saying, Joburg has this, Durban has this, Cape Town should also have this. You should start this. At the time, I remember saying, I don't know anything about social media. This is it looks like it's time consuming. And then she was like, no, I'm just creating this page. And then she created the page and we posted our food that day and the next day and the day after that. And then the following just started.
Oh, wow. So from humble beginnings from America down to here.
Yeah.
That's quite interesting. There one fact that you mentioned there in regards to how America operates in regards to the halal and the app. I thought it was a little bit different. I didn't know it was like that. I think it was just a couple of halal vendors there, or the New York vendors that you always see on the TV.
Yeah, so they have different views of halal because there's so many different kinds of people. And I remember that I went to New York for 2 weeks, right? And then this guy, I asked him where's the halal places around here? And he was like, no, you must just say Bismillah Rahman Rahim and he becomes halal.
MashaAllah. But you know that? Did you just say Bismillah Rahman Rahim?
Airbnb from an Egyptian guy, and then he was like, no, don't worry about it. And so yeah, we obviously did that.
Yeah, I do. First of all, I want to say the views expressed in this program are not the views of the voice of. Okay, it's mixed off. Just in case before somebody says and they eat something, and
also not the views of Cape Town Halal.
Yeah. Just eat something I just said Bismillah. Mufti Daanyaal did say it's perfectly fine. No, Mufti Daanyaal did not say that. He will never say that. But anyway, moving away from that, when you first began, of course, you when Sea Point pictures of your food, picture following happened. It's gone far beyond that now, right? Your page is something entirely different. What is it now?
So I think that it started with very honest reviews, and because of that reason, I think people started following it. We still do that. We try and remain as true as possible to the root of the page. But now, what it has actually evolved into is a platform where business connect with consumers. So a business will contact me and they'll say, well, I would like to reach a wider audience. I do not have the following that you have. So can you showcase my products to your audience to get my name out there? Basically almost become like a business to business consumer model where we can showcase different kinds of products and basically reach audiences that small businesses wouldn't have been able to.
That's an interesting one. I don't know what to call that because I was thinking in my head, is it a marketing agency? Is it a social media agency? But it's not really that, is it? It's more of a, I don't even know how to describe it.
It's less of a business really and more of a community driven initiative. So like for example on Youth Day we say, okay, half price ads go out. And normally for businesses to reach 36,000 people, I mean you would have to pay something like thousands of rands in advertising. We charge like 350 rand. So
The cut.
yeah, well, that's why I'm saying it's less about the business and more about community-driven initiatives. I will also reply and I'll say like, I don't think your ad will do well. These pictures need to be improved upon. This is what you need to do. So it's also a lot of like assisting business in getting the products, but also having the correct content that draws people in.
That's again, now I'm trying to figure out what exactly this now, because now it's not only a marketing agency, social media agency, it's also a marketing assistant or something of that nature. But I think that's pretty interesting. That's a pretty interesting model you have there on the show, as I said to my other guests as well. They usually operate in the reality selling a product, selling any food, the fashion line, and so on and so forth. They don't really operate in regards to a service provided, but you operate in that reality because essentially you're not really selling a product, you're more so just promoting other businesses and assisting them in reaching a wider audience, which I find a little bit exceptionally interesting. But one of the things you also do is actually have market days, correct?
Yes. So we started this initiative in like 2018. I think it was 2018, where we did the first one at the baseball club in Ottery.
Yes.
And at the time, I think I only had like 15,000 followers or something like that. But what we actually wanted to do is we wanted to allow business to reach a wider audience. So we come out and showcase your stuff, and we will tell people about it. And people came out in droves. I think we had 4,000, 5,000 people over the 2 days on that very first. It was random. We had one tent up. It was at the baseball club in Ottery. We had a small little hall where we put like 5 or 6 vendors in there and like 4 or 5 trucks in there. So the page has mainly been about food. It's always been like a foodie page actually. So that's we kind of remained true to that. So then we had more food trucks and actual retail or market vendors. And that really did evolve into like our food festival, which is now and people look forward to it.
Oh wow. So from taking pictures of food vendors and restaurants, you now basically facilitate a market where they can engage with customers. That's a pretty big jump. I mean, I must say, with regards to your story, it's been quite a leap in terms of where this has come from, right? I mean, you were in America, South Africa, couldn't find a place. You went to Sea Point, you found a place, but then you were, one of your friends told you should probably start something in regards to Josie Hall or something of that sort. And they took photos. And now it's gotten to the point where you're basically operating markets. Could you have seen that growth?
Initially think about it, but alhamdulillah, I've had a lot of support. So with me in these markets or food festivals is my cousin Altaf. He used to be a vendor actually, and he's actually driven the process as well because it's a lot of effort actually to put on these and market days. But he helps. He has Crowds Biltong. I don't know if you've heard about them. And then we also have Kashafin who assists as well. And he actually also part of the Divya Market Group who also do thing. So we all kind of run together. We make sure we don't sort of overlap on each other's days. So everybody has a chance to showcase different vendors and actually reach a wider audience.
So you're basically working with your cousin and a friend, correct?
Correct.
Oh, yep. Wow, that's pretty amazing. Most of the time people come here, it's usually just family with a few friends assisting. But I always find it interesting in regards to working with family. You always get the old sayings where you shouldn't mix family and money together, family and business together, because it always ends up wrong. But I always think that's a little bit, that lacks nuance, that kind of adage, because it kind of ignores the reality of where your family or your friends know you better. So they know when you're going down the wrong direction. They know, when you're getting a little bit clouded by your ambition. But in regards to working now with two partners, I wanted to know, how does that dynamic function in regards to the creative process, the execution? Because you originally started alone, so you had to do it now with two other partners. How does that work out?
I started alone, but it got too big. Because more vendors started contacting me. The second market or food festival was at Daanyaal that also ran, and my family assisted me, but it was too much to do alone because that one saw, I think it was like over 6,000 people over the 2 days.
6,000.
This thing just kept growing and growing and growing. And our Rustenburg one, which was we took a break for COVID. Then our Rustenburg one, which was now in December last year, we probably had over like 14,000 people over the 2 days.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy actually. But luckily we anticipated that and had a big enough venue. So it's just growing and growing, alhamdulillah. But it's obviously too much for just one person to handle. I'm glad that I have the team. We work very well in the team because I think each of us are like, we know what our strengths are and we stick to our strengths. So sometimes vendors kind of like overlap and they ask questions that's should be for Taf or Kashif, like operational questions, and I will direct them to them. So we all know what our strengths are, we know what our roles are in the partnership, and we all kind of follow those.
It works. So basically understanding all of the partners' weaknesses and strengths and working according to what they're good at and what they're not. But now that brings in another question in regards to how you guys operate. Originally, of course, you did it, but then exponentially. Now you're saying you had about 13,000 almost people at your market. That's a little bit insane. It's amazing growth. And you've been doing this for how long again?
We started in 2018. The page itself started in 2017. The market started in 2018. Now in 2022.
So about
that's
4 years. 4 years and already at this point. Wow. wow. But one thing that you should know as you work with entrepreneurs, so you've probably run into people that where the month hasn't been good, the sales aren't up, or maybe the service hasn't been taken up by many, so they get a little bit downhearted. They succumb to the fear, they succumb to the failure, and they start to believe it's them or from our Rob that maybe they shouldn't engage with this. However, because you yourself, as you operate a business or community initiative, you that those months where things weren't really going your way or the targets that you set out weren't really reached. But I wanted to know, since you've been operating for 4 years, how did you actually overcome that? Work through it, and get through it to be where you are today?
Okay, so I'm a little bit fortunate that this is not my main job. I have a day-to-day job. So that is also why I don't run the CTH page like a business. The CTH page for me always started as a hobby. And once I actually wanted to turn it into a business, I have a really good group of friends. We're quite close, and they also act as my advisors. And I asked them, I said, should I turn this into a business? Because a lot of people who have that many followers, they are charging a lot of money for fees and they do time. And they told me that, this wasn't started as that. And, once I turn it into a business, I'm going to be dependent on having to post content every day. I'm going to be dependent on those stats that you mentioned. So I've always kept it as a hobby or more of a community initiative. So I don't really have the targets that you're talking about. But from a vendor perspective, I can answer this. So there was an incident last market actually with a lady selling food at the market. And an interesting thing is she came to us on the first weekend and she said, she actually spoke to Altaf and didn't make any sales. I didn't sell out. And Altaf looked at it all and he said, ma'am, you're having pots of food, big pots of food here, they look untidy. People are not going to buy that food. Then he said, look at the bowls that you're serving it in, it's not appetizing. Right? You don't have any signage. You don't have any price lists up. So people don't know what to expect when they're coming to your store. So what they're going to do is they're going to bypass your store and go to someone with good signage. This lady took that message away and she said, please, 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 can I come back in? I want to try again. So she came back next weekend with a bang. She came with a gazebo. She put her pots that she was dishing out of. She was selling Indian food like curry and rice. She put that at the back of her. She put out some nice dishes in front of her. And she got some like foam bowls that she was selling the food out of. And she got a nice big sign in front of her gazebo with the prices and everything on. And next weekend, and she said, Alhamdulillah, I just came to tell you guys that I've actually sold out.
Wow.
So in this sort of market space, it is also that we give preference to entrepreneurs who are under 30 years old. In fact, in the last market, we had 2 entrepreneurs who were actually 20 years old. One was actually 12. He was saving money for college. Yeah, so we give those guys preference, and we try to help them with their content, their advertising, you know, the way the store looks, their marketing, things like that.
Wow, that's pretty enlightening. I mean, you're basically assisting people in regards to their marketing. I mean, there you mentioned how you assisted them in regards to their appearance, as appearance is key. It doesn't matter what you're selling as long as it doesn't look if it looks untidy, then people aren't attracted to it because people usually eat with their eyes first. But that brings me to another thing now in regards to how you assist businesses. Now, you have spoken to more entrepreneurs, and I can even imagine. So you probably already know the ins in regards to the hardships and things of that nature. So I'm not going to ask you, since this is essentially almost a side hustle for you. So I'm not going to ask you in regards to those kind of hardships that you faced. But I want to know from you in regards to all the vendors you've worked with, all of the marketed, all of the businesses you have engaged with. What is one of the common things you see in regards to failure? In regards to what people do not actually take into account when operating their business, that somehow, some way comes to hurt them in the future.
Okay, 90% of your money should be spent on marketing. You might have a great product, but without any marketing whatsoever, right, you cannot sell that product. And products are sold via word of mouth. Most of the products that we get, it's like, this one told me that this is really nice, so let me go and try it, right? Okay. So what you should be doing is investing in a good camera. Even on your phone, it's fine, right? And you should be posting to your social media content every single day. Every single day. You should also be posting it to your WhatsApp status, sending people links to your social media every day. Content is hard work. People think, oh, you have 30,000 followers. How did you get the people to start following you? No. It is really hard work.
It's getting your name out there.
It's getting your name out there and posting every day and posting honestly. So people relate to honest content. Like, don't post pictures of someone else's samosas and say it's your samosas. Right? Post a picture of your samosa. Post people eating the samosa. Break it open and show people what's inside. This is content. Take a picture. Take pictures every single day. Go on Udemy and go and see there are free courses on Coursera and Udemy on social media management, how to read your metrics, content on how to take pictures of your goods, photography, food photography, content photography. Go and learn as much as you can, be a sponge, and then get your name out there.
I think one thing that a lot of people have fear about in regards to what you're saying about educating yourself, because some of the things you mentioned, you don't even have to go on the site, you can just go onto YouTube.
Yeah.
And some dude will tell you, hey, here's how you can point your camera to actually have a good photo.
Exactly.
Or TikTok, where you get those random things. Oh, you're taking a photo like this? No, take it like this.
Exactly.
It's quite simple because the library of knowledge is quite vast on the internet. But I think what many people fear when they're doing their business, when they are actually, thinking of marketing themselves, the first question I they would have is, or what people have said on this show is, how do I start? How do I get my name out there? I'm taking photos, I'm uploading on the Instagram. I don't know how to get people to actually gravitate towards in the whole storm that is Instagram with all of the content. And I think the second thing is also they fear the lack of skills. They fear the fact that, they're not Peter Parker. They can't really take photos at all the wide angles and do all these fancy, smancy stuff. And a lot of them are people that aren't really that clued up in terms of technology. They don't really know how to market themselves. The things that you mentioned now in regards to content is not things that most people would consider. I mean, a lot of people don't really see it like that. They don't really see the fact that they have to promote themselves every single day. They automatically assume word of mouth is the main thing. And that's primarily because of, I think, how our community is structured. Our community is exceptionally interwoven. You can say one thing about somebody in another community may hear it.
True.
You can talk about your fish and chips. That fish and chips will be famous in a whole other part of the community. You can say, "Yo, this fish and chips is great in Mitchell's," but people come from, Sea Point even to come and get it. That's just the reality of where we are. But for those people that are afraid of the inaptitude, the incompetence, people that are afraid of taking that leap forward, what would your advice be to them?
Ask for help. Don't be scared to ask for help. Ask your friends and your family to share your page. I mean, how did I start? I didn't have content every day. I literally went onto my Facebook, onto my Instagram, on family and friends. And when I started, everybody used to send me pictures of their food. Everyone in my family. Even my uncle, he's a doctor. He never ever takes pictures. And he went to, where was Alhambra one day, and he's like, "Look, I took pictures for you." And they were not good pictures, but I posted it.
Yeah.
And I gave the review of what he told me that he liked about the food and then he didn't like about the food. Honestly, like, it doesn't matter whether your pictures are good or bad because you will improve. When I started, when I look down to my page from 4 years ago versus now, I can see that my photography skills have improved. I'm not a photographer. I used to take like bad pictures. But as you go along, you get at it. So practice.
I would say that a lot of people often at times overestimate the reality of what they're entering, because a lot of people, when they think, "Oh, you have to take photos," and they automatically assume you have to go buy that 20,000 rand camera, that entry level camera that just happens to be a 20,000 rand with a long lens to get the wide shot and all that. But the reality is, you just need a phone. I mean, that's the starting point. You have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to start today, when will you start tomorrow? Because there'll always be an issue. When you get the new camera, you'll find out that's not the camera. Next year, it's the old camera.
Exactly.
So start
Work
there.
with the tools you have.
But I mean, there's one thing interesting that you mentioned there, and that was the role your family played in the beginning of your page, because you mentioned there how doctor in your family took a photo.
Yeah, I told everyone.
You told every
I
single
told everyone, I said, if you guys are going somewhere, take photos for me, tell me how the food was, I'll post it. I don't have to say your name, but I'll post it. And then I started writing on my page and I said, anybody who goes anywhere, send me pictures. And then people from the community started sending me pictures. And then they started telling me, I like this item, I didn't like this item's overpriced, this item was worth it. And that's what I started posting. And that's how the page grew.
So, what's another interesting fact? We're actually reaching the end of the show now. I know I'm telling you that because you said before the show, "Oh my word, we're going for 20 minutes? That's a long time." But alhamdulillah, like that, we are almost at the end. So I wanted to ask you, there are questions that I always ask people, but you've already essentially mentioned the answer to one of the questions, as my other guests also did. You guys are a little bit too forward. Just slow it down. In regards to what would you advise people, other entrepreneurs? You already said it. Just go for it. Just start, use the tools you have, and utilize the connections you have to facilitate your growth.
Yeah.
But now I have another question. 4 years ago, you started the page, you just took random photos, family centers, and alhamdulillah, now you're here with almost 13,000 people attending your market. It's absolutely wonderful, by the way. I wanted to know, in regards to that, where do you see yourself then in the next 4 years? Or 1 year? I'll give you the option, 1 year or 4 years. You can choose.
Okay, let's see. So I'd really like to grow this onto a bigger scale. So Dubai has Global Village, where people from all around the world come for like 4 or 5 at a time and set up shop in Dubai. And that Global Village is running from the morning till very late at night, and it runs from, I think, November to April, right? And I'd like to create something more or less similar. So it'll be very interesting to see how this turns out. But we do want to sort of start inviting international visitors to the annual food festival, so that we can have different variations of food from like all over the world, and really, create sort of like a real like halal space. And it can be for a week, it can be for a month. We don't know where it's headed yet, but that's where we want to be.
Hopefully, inshallah, you get to that point. But I wanted to know, the one other thing I always have to ask, it's don't make that sound. It's not that bad. I was actually just going to ask you how other people can get in contact with you, and when's your next event?
Okay, our next event is in December. A lot of people have requested over Christmas weekend, but I think everyone goes to the beach, so I don't know if that's a good idea. So for right now, the dates are the 9th, 10th, and 11th of December.
Yeah.
We're still working out the details of the venue, so I will post it to the page when I have them. But if you'd like to get in contact, it's at Cape Town Halal on Instagram and Facebook, and the contact number is also on the page.
Oh, that's absolutely wonderful. Samreen, I want to thank you for coming on board.
Thanks.
For actually taking the time out of your day to actually join me for this interview. I know you were a little bit nervous in the beginning there about like how long it would be. As you can see, we're actually almost done.
Really?
Quickly, it's funny how radio was absolutely something else. But shukran so much for coming on board. I will make to that all ta'ala allows your business to go from strength to strength and also achieve that goal you mentioned, because I think that's pretty interesting, replicating that in South Africa. I think that's absolutely wonderful. I can't wait to attend that if it does happen. Inshallah, it will. But shukran so much for coming on board. I've enjoyed the interview.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
And with that, we come to the conclusion of the Daily Grind. To everybody listening on the 91.3 FM series or the Voice of the Cape app, I bid you Assalamu alaikum. To those watching on the live stream all the way up there on Facebook and YouTube, waving you bye, because I'm also saying to you Assalamu alaikum. We now have to go and end the show. Next week, it's more of the Daily Grind from 6 to 8. So stay tuned for that. Assalamu alaikum.
The